Motive is the cause that makes a person do a certain action. So why is this important to understanding criminal behavior? Understanding the motive behind a crime helps us not only understand the crime, but helps us better prepare to combat it. Motive itself is not an element of any given crime. However, it provides reasoning behind the accused's acts against societal norms that we deem a detriment to the well-being of a functional society. Motive is not required to reach a verdict. However, motive provides proof to make plausible accusation against an individual for committing a crime. Crime contains two factors: actus reus, the actual act itself, and the thought of intent called mens rea. Motive means little in the act itself, but means everything in the intent. Extenuating, mitigating, and aggravating circumstances can all lead to the true intent of a crime. Often, investigators will delegate their resources towards suspects with reason or motive behind the crime. Sigmund Freud argued that everyone has instinctual drives called the id that demand gratification. Moral and ethical codes called the superego regulate these drives, and adults later develop a rational personality called the ego that mediates between the id and superego. Based on this idea, criminal behavior is seen primarily as a failure of the superego. The psychodynamic theory sees criminal behavior as a conflict between the id, ego, and superego. Cesare Beccaria offered a classical theory on criminality. He often reflected on ideas like free will, rationalization, and manipulation. According to Beccaria, free will enables an individual to make their own choices. In the Cesare Beccaria's classical theory, law exists for one reason: to benefit society. Laws are able to preserve social contracts, but at the expense of the best interests of people at times. When this conflict arises, whether through personal rationalization or through manipulation, then crime occurs. Beccaria theorized that this meant a majority of crime that exists occurs because the criminal is acting out on their own self-interest. Cesare Lombroso theorized that criminality is inherited, which means potential criminals could be identified through specific physical traits. Lombroso identified several different physical anomalies which could confirm that an individual was at a higher risk of being a criminal. He believed that these physical defects were a reversion of humanity. A student of Cesare Lombroso, Italian sociologist Enrico Ferri, through studying under Lombroso, developed his own theory, focusing on economic and social factors and their relation to crime. He believed that by tweaking the economic and social factors that led to crime behaviors, it would be possible to prevent crime rather than always having to punish it. Jane Addams broke free from societal norms and established herself as a pioneer for women activists. Addams believed that poverty and society contributed to crime. Addams actively encouraged studies of the underlying causes of crime. In an effort to prevent crime, she helped found the U.S. Settlement House movement, believing that the economic security could help battle crime. Addams was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, the second woman to receive this prestigious award. Lacassin, with his keen interest in the fields of psychology and sociology, revolutionized criminology. Lacassin believed a person's biological inclinations and social environment greatly impacted whether he would engage in criminal behavior and what sort of behavior he would display. Lacassin focused around his theory of societal influences on criminal behavior. Edwin Sutherland created the term white-collar criminal and postulated about the criminal differences between classes. He believed that the criminal behavior developed from associating with those who committed the crime, and that delinquency was more likely to result from learned behavior. Motivations and technical knowledge, according to Sutherland, were likely to be learned from those who commit crime. He also suggested that social disorganization and conflict contributed to crime. Sutherland's differential association theory proposes that people learn their values, motives, techniques, and attitudes through their interactions with other people. In the world of criminology, it is this process which helps a person learn how to become a criminal. When the choices to commit a crime seem normal within the environment of an individual, then the risk of becoming a criminal becomes higher. Strain theory is a proposal that pressure derived from societal factors, such as lack of income or lack of quality education, drives individuals to commit crime. The ideas underlying strain theory were first advanced in the 1930s by American sociologist Robert K. Merton, whose work on the subject became especially influential in the 1950s. Other researchers set forth similar ideas, including American criminologist Albert Cohen and American sociologists Richard Cloward and Lloyd Olin. Classic strain theories focus primarily on disadvantaged groups, where societal status pressures and the inability to achieve those goals was considered a driving factor behind crime. Conflict theory is a set of criminological theories that holds that those in society who possess the social and economic power, the ruling class, define antisocial behavior. Antisocial behavior results from class conflict and social and economic inequality. Conflict theory looks to social and economic factors as the causes of crime and deviance. Unlike functionalists, conflict theorists don't see these factors as positive functions of society. They see them as evidence of inequality in the system. According to conflict theory, stratification results from lack of opportunity and discrimination against the poor and people of color. Classical theory emphasized on rationality and free human will. Its proponents believed that people were self-seeking and engaged in crimes out of free will. They were aware of the consequences of their crimes. Classical criminology attributed high crime rates to bad laws, and emphasized on a legal system which would serve all of the people and treat them equally. According to classical criminology, the law should establish a scale of crimes. There should be a corresponding scale of punishments. The punishment should be proportional to the crime committed. The purpose of punishment should be to deter people from committing crimes. The punishment should always be greater than the pleasure experienced as a result of the criminal activity. The punishment must be imposed with certainty and quickness. In conclusion, it is clear that criminology is about understanding what crime and punishment are and how theories can help explain how criminal behavior is developed. The range of theories of criminology help give a better understanding as to why people commit crime and what possesses them into doing so. As society evolves, criminology will as well, leaving more room for opportunity to change the way we perceive crime. Throughout history, theories have emerged and changed, largely dictated by the growth of society. It is the responsibility of the criminal justice sector to analyze and formulate ideas to combat future crimes.